Today's inflation figure of 8.7% could signal a bloodbath for the mortgage market. Many were expecting a figure of around 7%, and as I said in my last video, if today's figure began with a 7, I would have expected a 0.25% rise tomorrow. If it begins with an 8, as it has done, I would expect a 0.5 point rise tomorrow. If it's not 0.5 point, this is yet more indecisiveness from the Bank of England. They knew that inflation was going to get out of control. People outside the Bank of England were saying so. All the signs were there. And what they should have done was to have taken drastic and decisive action immediately by raising interest rates from last year by 1% or 2% to bring it to a dead stop, an immediate stop, because inflation is a cancer that destroys an economy in no time. The problem is these incremental changes have not really had any effect, but they haven't even begun to filter through. So they are going to cause crippling long-term effect to borrowers and the economy as a whole without the actual shock effect that would bring inflation under control. Now the figure in the US is 4% because they were more decisive earlier on and their inflation has come down. And I know, or I've seen in the comments, that many people are thinking that this is part of the Brexit effect, which is an issue I won't get into, but take this on board. Inflation in the Eurozone is 6.1%. It's not that much lower, but yes, it is lower. However, in Germany, energy costs are subsidised. France has nuclear and therefore has been relatively unaffected by the higher energy costs. Food production within the EU is pretty high, even though it still imports a lot of food. In the UK, we are dependent on imports for our energy. Our nuclear energy has fallen badly behind, making us dependent on imported energy, and our farming has literally been obliterated. I believe we are the second largest food importer in the world. I'm not sure. I assume that that's per capita rather than as a total. Whatever the actual figure is, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, we import a lot of our food and so much that could be produced here, but subsequent governments neglect to support them, and also the exploitation by the supermarkets who literally drew farmers in and then bankrupted them with their policies, which I'll go into in another video, has left us more dependent than ever on imported food, which is one of the greatest factors of, or contributors to, core inflation. So as it stands, let's see what the Bank of England does tomorrow. But at this point, I don't believe a 1/4 or a 0.5% increase is going to have much of an effect. We need something drastic that is going to frighten businesses back from increasing their prices, that is going to frighten employees into not asking for or demanding more wage increases, even though of course they deserve them, but everything must come to a stop. Inflation, or reducing inflation, must come first, because ultimately it is everyday people who are paying the price for the incompetence of those who are in a position to manage our economy. Let's see what happens tomorrow, and I'll be back then, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.